Hello, Cousin Johnny here. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the Buzzin' with Cousins show. We thank you. Thank you, that garlic stuff. If you like garlic, you're going to love it. Put it on just about anything. That garlic stuff. Tuesday, Alvarado Farmers Market, or go to thatgarlicstuff.com. Thank you. Thank you, Art. I Heart You Candles, located right in front of Fisherman's Wharf. Beautiful hand poured candles. These are very inspirational candles. Call Sherry at 574-9446, right in front of Fisherman's Wharf. They're great. Thank you, Max Fit Meals, 520 Fremont Street. Grab and go healthy meals. They're delish. On your way from home from work, go grab some, heat them up, and fantastic. Thank you, Suds Cyber Laundry, 709 Lighthouse, Pacific Grove. Great modern machines, big screen TV, coffee, and a great friendly staff. Thank you, Suds. Thank you, the Whiskey Club, 425 Alvarado Street. Over 400 whiskeys to choose from. Go in, relax, have a drink. They have a bottle shop. They have room for special events. The Whiskey Club, thank you. Thank you, storyteller, author, and all-around good guy, Tony Albano. Tony has written 3 books, the latest being Cherish, about a New York teenager and a nun find love. Thank you, Tony. And if you want to order the book or find out more about Tony, go to Tony, Tony, Albano, Albano, storyteller.com. Check it out. Thank you. Thank you, sponsors, for the Buzzin' with Cousins show. We thank you. Hello, how's everybody doing out here? Everybody good?
Great.
This is we're here celebrating. It's Car Week, and we're celebrating Car Week. I got a couple friends of mine here. We've got Jane Benight. She's from Pacific Grove, and right now she's visiting her brother, Jeff McKee, in Arizona. And guess what? Jeff's got a beautiful classic car. So both of you, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, Johnny. Good morning. Good. Happy Car Week.
Happy Car Week, and I appreciate you both coming on. And so, Jeff, what do you got?
Sure. It's a 1936 Rolls Royce Phantom Sedanka DeVille. This is the first year that Rolls Royce built a 12-cylinder car, and
wow!
Eventually, Rolls Royce built 727 of the cars, mostly before World War II broke out. And once the war started, the Rolls Royce devoted its efforts to the war, and particularly manufacturing the famous Merlin engine. This particular car, our car, is one of what was called the experimental cars. It's actually car number 7 of 10, and it has the 9th engine ever built in it. And this engine is the prototype for what became the Merlin engine that famously was in the Spitfire fighter plane, and then later in the war in the P-51 Mustang. Interesting story about this car. At the 1935 London Motor Show, where Rolls-Royce was unveiling its new Phantom 3 model, there were the original 10 cars up on this platform. Our car, was center stage, a little bit elevated, and the reason for that was this car was the only one that actually had an engine in it. Apparently tour guides were told not to open the bonnet on any of the other Rolls Royces except this one, because it's the only one that actually had an engine in it. And experimental cars are what they sound like, which is the manufacturer holds onto these cars and tests them. They drive them. And this car was driven by Rolls Royce for a number of years. It was not sold until 1940 during the war, and it was sold to a lady in New York. So imagine this car coming over in submarine infested waters during World War II, arrived in New York, was owned by her for a number of years. It was eventually owned by the grandson of William Jennings Bryan. William Jennings Bryan III owned this car for a period of time. Our father was...
Who was William Jennings Bryan?
William Jennings Bryan was a famous attorney, the famous Scopes trial you may have heard of. He was the senator from Nebraska, and he was the Republican presidential candidate for 2 elections. So he was a very famous politician. His grandson owned the car for a period of time. Our father was, for some reason, was interested in this car, saw it in the New York Times for sale by a doctor in Philadelphia. It was listed for $1,600. So my father is, as my dad tells the story, he and his brother drove from the Detroit area to Philadelphia, and they showed up at night, and this doctor opened the garage door, saw the car, and my father said, "I'd love to buy the car." And the owner said, I feel terrible. I actually have somebody that's offered me $1,800 for the car, but you drove all this way. If you pay me $1,800, I'll sell it to you. So my dad writes a check for $1,800, hands it to him, and off he goes. He owns this 1936 Rolls Royce. He also told us that on the way home, his brother was driving the Rolls Royce. My dad was driving the car they drove out in. He's driving along, and he said his brother comes flying by him on the highway. And he said, I was so angry at him, I never let him drive the car again. So he got it back to Michigan, drove the car around for a few years, and discovered that the wiring in these cars had a canvasy coating or cover that was susceptible to fire. He started this long, frankly, never-ending,
very long,
never-ending remodeling project. I was born in '62. I never saw the car. I never saw the car until I was older. Apparently, it was last driven in 1964 to a family wedding.
I was in the car when it was driven in '64.
Yeah. So
wow, that was the last time.
It ran one time, and then another time it ran. Did you just happen to get it started? We were all in our pajamas, and it has the big running boards. We all jumped on the running boards of the car. That was the only other time it ran, and like Jeff, it sat in our garage. He bought it in '55.
Yeah, bought it in '55.
And when did they ship it out here?
Oh, it was many years later. Finally, my dad was tinkering around with this. He'd roll the car out, tinker with it back and forth. Finally, probably 15, pushing somewhere between 15 and 20 years, I finally said, this car is never going to get done unless we bring it out to and restore it. So we had the car shipped out here and just started, how these projects go. They take years to restore vehicles. And one of the interesting things, he always had a problem starting the car, and he always thought it was a carburetor issue. And the one lucky thing we found out was the problem with starting the engine was it was actually the diaphragm in the fuel pump. It just had atrophied. It couldn't sustain the flow of gas. We finally, replaced that. All of a sudden we had a running engine, and I was very fortunate. We got many wonderful people to work on the car. At this point, my mother had passed away, and my dad was living down here. So our weekend routine was that I'd pick him up for lunch, and we'd go by the places that were working on the car. And they loved my dad. Yeah,
it's all about the car.
Everybody loved my dad, and all these guys, wanted to do a great job for him, and it was just a great experience for me. I'm like the worst guy to have this car because I barely know the right end of a screwdriver and a hammer. So
that's two of us right here. Yeah.
I could.
The car lives in.
So you may see the car over my shoulder.
I see that beautiful car in the background, and 7, only 10 made. That's number 7.
Yeah.
and that's great that you revive the car because that car needs to be showcased. So Jeff, appreciate you, you know, for the car to
And I
get that thing back and
about
going.
the car before he even when he was a baby. When I was little, I'm 7 years older than him. The car just sat in the garage. It didn't even have a floor in parts of the car. It was just completely untouched, and it had this horrible green 30s era paint.
That's terrible.
And
Yeah.
I used to sit in the back seat because in the back seat of these particular Rolls, there's these wonderful, beautiful walnut burl little desks that come out. And I would keep all my art supplies in there and I would draw.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
That's
Now Jeff, so that's the original color was green. Is that?
remember that the car was an experimental car. So if you think about it, Rolls
Yeah.
Royce wasn't particularly concerned with how the car looked. It was really
Yeah.
focused on functionality. And when it was sold, it was like a pea green color with a darker stripe, not very
Yeah.
attractive. So we picked this color combination. It's not the original color, but it is it's an authentic, appropriate, period
It took
paint
forever
scheme.
to decide the color too.
I love it because of that. It's got the black and that lighter color. It looks it's classy looking.
Yeah,
Very classy.
it's actually a deep maroon. It's not black.
It looks black though.
Yeah, it takes on different hues depending on. Sometimes it looks brownish. Sometimes it looks. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting color, and black and gray is a great combination. I just wanted to do something slightly different than the typical, so we did a deep burgundy or yeah.
Yeah, it took forever for them to decide the color, and Mom always want to paint it yellow because she loved the movie.
No, they did paint it yellow. Hideous.
That's right. It was.
They painted the car yellow at some point. It was horrible.
Yeah, Mom always wanted.
Jeff, congratulations. Jane was telling me a few years.
So then the other big thing that happened with this car is Jeff got to show it in the Pebble Beach Concours in 2000.
That's what I was going to say. Congratulations for that because only the top of the top qualify for that event, and your 1936 was there. When was that, Jeff?
2017, and what's funny about our car is, as you know, most of the people that bring their cars there have multiple cars. They bring them there on trucks, and it's quite the event just watching it. We have one car, and a good friend of mine, Drew Tennant, who did most of the work on the car, has become a good friend, and we actually drove out. And I had these guys the week of polishing, getting ready with the car. Drew said, "I've never seen the car look better." We drive all the way from Phoenix to Monterey. We pull up. Janie's there, my wife's there, kids are there. Let me see the car. We open it up. Well, it had a layer of dust all over the car because the air vents of the trailer had been left open. So I'm like, that's how we started off Pebble Beach.
You trailered it in. Did you trailer the car in, right? Or
oh yeah. So.
But it runs. He drives.
No, the car runs great.
Not a trailer. So Jane, did you have that giant hat and for the for the concourse event, they dress up with the hats and the dress and the picnic basket?
No, I didn't really have anything from the 30s. I did dress a little bit of vintage, but I really didn't have anything to wear that was very 30s era. I should have planned it better, but it's really interesting when you do the behind the scenes of someone who's entering an event. It's almost like a wedding because so much has to be coordinated, and Jeffrey had to go to so many things, and he'd have to have the car out there on the field at 5 or in the morning, and there's so many things go wrong. Like when you're behind the scenes with all the people getting their cars, everything's going wrong for everybody. It wasn't just
Oh yeah, everything looks great. Yeah, almost
Yeah.
like a really great restaurant. You know, on the outside you see everything great. In the kitchen, the chefs yelling at people, "Let's go! Come on, let's go! Move it out! Move it out!" But anyway, yeah. So,
That was a great
Jeff,
event.
is there any events? You probably got a concourse events there in Arizona. There's a big car place there too.
Thing was it kind of as a tribute to the the granddaddy of them all in Pebble Beach. Arizona started its own Arizona concourse.
Yeah,
Very
good.
very nice show.
Excuse me, gentlemen, it's Concours. You don't pronounce the
Sorry.
Oh, you're right. Okay, Concours. Got it.
Concours. I've been volunteering since he showed the car because I got so jazzed by the event, and
That's cool. Yeah.
so now I know it's Concours.
So they had the first one in Arizona at the Biltmore Hotel in 2014. So we entered the car, and what was nice about it was our dad was there, and my son was home from college, and we ended up winning first prize in our group, and he passed away 6 months later. So it was kind of a neat finality.
Yeah, he got to see it all.
Here's the embarrassing thing. So we live a mile from the Biltmore Hotel where the show was. So you take the car over on Friday, the show's on Sunday, and we live in a cul-de-sac. So I drive the car out of the cul-de-sac, and I think, I was gonna go put gas in the car, and we have a 38-gallon tank, but at the time the fuel gauge didn't work. So I'm like, we're just a couple miles away. So I drive over the Biltmore, drive in, no problem. Sunday morning we get there, 5 a.m. Judges come over. Could you start the car, please? No problem. Start the car. Hey, the engine sounds great, looks great, blah blah blah. And right before the judge, we were just walking off in the car. The engine conks out. We all sort of laugh. Oh, that's good timing. And they come over about 2 hours later. Congratulations, you've won first prize in your class. There's a blue ribbon. Now, what we're going to do when we're going to call each class winner down, you drive down.
Yeah.
There's you've seen it, just like Pebble Beach. You drive over, they get a trophy. So they're hailing me. It's my turn to go. Well, what's going to happen. The car wouldn't start because it was out of gas. And I was just on the slide. Oh, I was so angry. Everybody else laughing.
That's all right. It's just a slow 1 or 2 mile, so they can kind of just push the car through.
Gas can. I could walk home and get the gas can I'd mow my lawn with faster than these people. And so finally I have to walk down instead of in the car. Then eventually they get gas, and then I drive down, and it was, at the winner's area. But needless to say, right after that, I went and put 30 gallons of gas in my car, and I keep it that way ever since. So it hasn't happened again. I learned my lesson the hard way, like most lessons. Great. Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys coming on and showcasing that beautiful car of yours, and I can't wait to get a closer look.
Yeah, so you want? I'll give you a little tour. I'll get the camera and we'll walk around it.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Sure. All right, cool.
So I have to hold it this way. Whoops! I just turned the whole thing off. Great. There we go. So of course with this thing, I can't tell.
Okay, I can see it.
But I'm gonna so you can see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can look and see. Can you look at the phone and see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. So
here she is.
Here's the car.
Wow, that's great.
Here's the front.
And is it the original Flying Lady?
Oh yeah.
So it's got the original hood ornament there. Can you see it?
Yeah. Now the hood seems like it's painted. It's chrome.
The
maroon. Okay.
Yeah. The only thing that's not original is there's an electric fan. Here's the original fan up here, by the way.
Oh, there's the original.
Which we can put in if necessary, but an electric fan is, particularly in Phoenix, is considered an acceptable.
Oh, are these all your ribbons? So here's his ribbons. The green one's from the Pebble Beach for the rally, right?
Yeah.
And he broke down during the rally.
Did you have to mention that?
He broke down during the rally at Pebble Beach. I was waiting in Carmel for him to show up. I'm like, where is he? I was like there for hours. And some stupid, like before, some stupid little thing just happened to go wrong. But, you know,
Now,
they follow those cars with tow trucks. You know, they know the cars are going to break down.
Now, would a 1936 Rolls have air conditioning?
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
No, they didn't have air conditioning then.
Normally, I drive the car. This is one of the nice features about this particular one. This actually slides back. So normally, I drive the car sort of like a convertible, which is pleasant. There's a window that rolls up in the middle. So if you get, God forbid, get tired of me running my mouth, you can actually roll the window up.
And I do regularly.
People usually do after a few minutes.
He does. He uses this for weddings too. In fact, he's going to ship it up to Sedona. His son's getting married in October, and he's going to have it in the wedding.
My son gets married in October.
You could have like a sideline business of, you know, wedding.
Well, it needs to be, you know, it's a car. It needs to be driven. It needs to exercise. So it brings joy to people. Let me show you the backyard, because this is most Rolls-Royce Phantom 3s. If you were to look up and see pictures of most of them, you'll see a bump out to accommodate a larger trunk. And this one, from a stylistic standpoint, I think it's a more elegant look. That's just my bias.
It looks like they were trying to make it more aerodynamic, right?
Yeah, it's just I just prettier. Yeah. And you know that what you do in the olden days is you buy the car and then you send it to a body styler, a coach builder, excuse me. And this one was made by Park Ward, which is a very perhaps the best known or the best coach builder of its era. And so it's kind of neat.
And I do have to mention, Johnny, that see the little turn signals?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when I was young, I pulled one of those out and broke it.
Oh.
When I was a kid.
Yeah,
I didn't know you couldn't pull them out.
What about the interior? I know that Rolls Royce.
Yeah, he's going to show you.
Top of the line.
So here's the interior. You had all this leather. Oh, he pulled out the carpet on the floor, but here's the dashboard.
Beautiful wood. Look at
that. The wood is all the original wood.
That's walnut?
Yes.
Walnut burl. Right. See the wonderful burl on it and inlaid.
Oh, wow. That is really great.
Bucket seats. That seems kind of modern for the era.
Yeah, we think of leather. Leather is in the front for the chauffeur
and there, look at the clutch.
See, I just took the clutch out. It's being fixed. That's why you don't see carpet on the floor.
Yeah, he doesn't have the carpet in right now. But
is it like a 3-speed or what?
It's a 4-speed, and what's interesting is it's on the floor, but it's to your right, and so it's like driving a traditional.
Here's can I pull that out?
Sure.
Here's where I used to. So Johnny, here's where I used to sit and play. See, here's this. You better pull that out. And see how these desks come out.
See this.
And I would keep my crayons in here.
Her liquor and cigarettes.
My liquor and my pot in there when I was
automatic. That's
and I would sit in the back seat and I would sit here and draw so I'd get away from Jeff because he was a rambunctious little kid when he was little, so I could hide out. And I love that you only have one vase, huh?
See, and we got this from our cousin in London, who lived in London and bought that. It was actually from a Rolls Royce.
Oh, it was really from a Rolls Royce, huh? But isn't it you're supposed to have two? Are you missing one?
No.
Oh. I thought they always had two. Well, what goes over there?
It's just lights and stuff.
What are these little wooden inserts for?
Just, lights.
I never sit in the back. I always sit in the front. Oh, lights. Okay.
Let me show you the engine. The best part about this car, Johnny, is the engine. Because it has 24 spark plugs on it. A lot of redundancy, which made it such a great airplane engine. And it's a V12, and it's aluminum block, which, aluminum is lighter. So it was a perfect combination for an aircraft engine because it was incredible torque and it was light.
But didn't I hear that they were working on the aluminum engine kind of secretly for the airplanes. They didn't want that knowledge out. I thought I read that somewhere that was part of, that was kind of a secret thing that they were working.
This is the sort of project. The Merlin engine that went into the airplanes, of course, was a much bigger engine, but it was the same V12 model that you see here. And this is, again, this is the 9th engine ever built. Many of the cars, it's common to change out engines, but this is the original one, which we eventually pulled out and had it completely cleaned out. And so the engine runs fantastically. It runs cool. It's unusual for an English car. They tend to run pretty darn hot. And this actually runs really cool. You see a double distributor cap.
Beautiful. Really beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I like about the car is it functionally, it drives really nicely. It's really
These
a
little
pleasure.
knobs, they look like bakelite.
They are.
Yeah, that's cool. That's bakelite over there too.
It's really great that the car has a lot of history with your family, and you're keeping the tradition going. And that's really great.
So I'll say one last thing, which is kind of funny, was so you know how expensive the car was, and so I told you my dad bought this for $1,800.
Yeah.
Each of these tires cost me $500. So I said, "You see these tires, Dad? These tires cost me more than you paid for the damn car."
Yeah.
Just so you understand what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And it was great. We had a good time. It's been great to have in the family. It's a rare, one thing I found from talking to classic car guys, it's pretty rare for a car to be in the same family.
Well, I was going to say, because since I work at the Concours every year, I always go early and I talk to a lot of the car owners. There's a lot of stories about where cars have sat in barns and they've discovered them.
That's a lot.
I feel like it's so fun to tell our story because it sat in our garage for 40 years.
This is a fun story. I appreciate you sharing it with me. And Jane and Jeff, I appreciate you coming on and buzzing with Cousin. And we're looking forward to having you come to Monterey, and we're going to have a drink at the Sardine Factory.
Woohoo! Yeah, Sardine Factory.
Happy Car Week, Johnny. Good to talk to you.
Happy
Car Week, and thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Sure.
Cheers.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.